story because it's been crazy and it's been busy. But my name is Alexis, for those of you who are new and just clicking on this video, and thank you for those who have come back to my channel. Today I'm going to be sharing our positive birth story. Those are my favorite. I'll probably watch 2 or 3 positive birth stories or videos every day of my pregnancy, and some of them I watched over and over again. So I hope that this encourages you and breaks off fear and worry that you have towards your upcoming birth, or if you're planning on becoming pregnant and you're scared about all the things that are going to happen afterwards. I hope this really gives you confidence and lets you know that things can go well, and they can go very well for you. So some things you should know before I get into the story is that we chose to do an all-natural home birth. All natural meaning no medical interventions at all. And to do that, we had a midwife as our care provider. We also had an OB who we saw a few times during my pregnancy, and through him I was able to get my ultrasounds, and I was able to get the blessing of, yes, you're clear to do a home birth, you're low risk, I see nothing wrong with it. So that was a blessing. What else? Oh, at the end of this video, I'm going to be answering some questions that some of my friends asked that are common questions that you might have about why I chose to go this route, the costs with insurance versus a hospital, and what it was like waiting past 40 weeks to have my baby, because we were almost 42 weeks, and if I would ever consider an epidural. I'm going to answer those kind of questions at the end. So here we go. I was 41 weeks and 5 days when I went into labor with our little girl. I'm currently 2 weeks postpartum. She's doing great, I'm doing great, and it's just, everything has been so smooth for us. It was really difficult waiting for her to come on her own. When you choose to have an all-natural, intervention-free birth, you're choosing not to be induced. Now, with a home birth, you have a window of time that your midwife will deliver your baby for you, and then after a certain point, you do need to go to the hospital and be medically induced, just for the safety of you and your baby. So I was pushing 42 weeks. The whole pregnancy in my brain, because the window is 38 to 42 weeks, in my head, because the window started at 38 weeks, I was like, yes, I'm gonna just go into labor at 38 weeks, and that's gonna be how it goes, and it's gonna be perfect. 38 weeks came and went, 39 weeks came and went, 40 weeks came and went, 41 weeks came and went, and I mean, as the weeks went on, I was just like I think leading up to 40 weeks, I was getting really sad because I just really wanted to meet my baby, and it wasn't that I was miserable or exhausted from being pregnant, because I had a really easy pregnancy. Like, I felt normal every day. I never got sick from morning sickness or anything like that. I got strep throat once, and I got food poisoning a couple times, but I never was sick related to the pregnancy. So it was just smooth, high energy. And so up to 40 weeks, I'm thinking, okay, I'm gonna go past my due date, and that really discouraged me. But I guess after 40 weeks, I kind of sucked it up and realized, okay, she's gonna get here when she wants to get here, because your baby is who initiates labor. And then I realized, because we had gone so long, I had tried all the tricks, there is nothing you can do to encourage your baby to come. She or he, they're going to come when they're good and ready to come. I mean, unless you do have to get induced after 42 weeks, they're going to come on their timetables, not on yours. So I had to accept that fact. It was something I had heard the whole time, but it was also a concept I thought, I'm not going to have to deal with that. I'm just going to go into labor at 38, 39 weeks. It'll be fine. Like, I don't even have to go there. Well, that is something I had to confront. So that happened. So I finally went into labor at 41 weeks and 5 days. That's 2 days away from our window of having to be induced. So imagine what my brain was going through. But no, I wasn't nervous at all. We understood the risks. We understood what we were going to need to do to have a healthy, safe delivery, whether that be with our midwife or us going and being induced with our doctor. We trusted him. He was great with us throughout the pregnancy, and if he made a call, we knew, okay, we need to listen to him and just do what's necessary. So, yes, disclaimer, our family is not against medicine. We're not against doctors. I have people in my family who save lives every day medically, and I'm thankful for them. And this was just a preference we had for our baby girl coming into the world. Our personal preference was that we didn't feel like we needed medical intervention because I was low risk, and this was like my dream birth. So if there's no problem, then we don't need any problem solvers. That was our thinking. So it was 1 a.m. when I finally went into actual labor. Weeks leading up to this, I had, I guess you call it pre-labor or early labor, where it felt like menstrual cramps. It wasn't anything I could time. It was painful a little bit, discomforting, but like I said, I couldn't time it, and it would go away. But real contractions are not going to go away, no matter what you do. So that happened at 1 a.m. I texted our doula. A doula is basically an amazing woman who is your emotional support, your spiritual support, and physical support during your labor and delivery. She's your human epidural, so to speak. So she was on call for us for our birth, and she told me I could text and call her anytime. So I texted her and let her know, hey, I'm just woke up with these contractions. I'm able to time them. They're 5 to 7 minutes apart. I would say my pain level is at a 1. And I just sent her that text, and she was like, great, you need to drink some water and go back to sleep. Because if this is real labor, you're going to regret not getting your rest before you run this marathon of having a baby. And so when you get that kind of message, you're like, okay, how am I going to go back to sleep while I'm having these contractions? But I understood where she was coming from. I had watched videos on this. I had read and studied, and I had confidence in her that, yes, I do need to try to get my rest. Even though I'm uncomfortable right now, I need to just at least lay down if I can. So she told me to just keep track of the pain intensity and to let her know when there was a shift in the pain. So that was 1 a.m. when I texted her. I was never able to go back to sleep, so I just kind of laid there, and I quit timing the contractions because I just wanted to wait for a shift in the pain, just like she said. So I just laid there, drank water. I kept tossing and turning, trying to get comfortable. So eventually by like 4 a.m., I came in the living room here on the couch, and I just snuggled on a blanket, drank my water, and I just continued having contractions. By 5 a.m., there was a shift. There's a shift based on how you are like how you're able to function during your contractions. Like during the early ones at 1 a.m., I didn't really have to focus on, they were happening, but I didn't even have to breathe through them really. They were uncomfortable, but it was kind of like you're on your period. But my pain wasn't forward. It was all in my hips and my back. but I knew that it was contractions because there was a break in between and then it would happen. So, yeah, so then when I was on the couch, it got to where I was having to like deep breaths, like breathe through them. Okay, so that's 5 o'clock, and I let our doula know that there's been a shift in the pain. I'm now having to like breathe through these. Sometimes I feel like I'm having to like moan through them or like make a noise. I'm not miserable. I would still say my pain is at like a 2. Like, I didn't want to overestimate my pain because I know that a lot of women, even first-time moms, were like, I'm at a 7 and they're still in early labor and it's gonna get a lot worse, and it's just not an accurate reading of your pain or whatever. So I was staying low, and I was like, it's at a 2 or 3. So she asked me to call our midwife, and I did. I woke her up and I said, we're in labor, my contractions are 5 minutes apart. When do you think we should come in? Or do you think this is real? And she told me to eat a good breakfast and to wait for the sun to come up. And if after I've eaten that my contractions were still strong and still coming, that we need to start packing up and thinking about heading to the birth house soon. So that's what I did. I ate a big bowl of scrambled eggs that my husband made for me. I ate a bowl of oatmeal with some peanut butter in it, and I have a big thing that I drink my water in, and it's about maybe 32 ounces, and I drank about 2 of those before we ended up leaving. But so I was just kind of trucking through. I did most of my labor at home. The contractions weren't torture. I never knew what to really expect contractions to feel like. I had even watched so many videos on people talking about what they felt like, and I still couldn't wrap my head around it until it's one of those things that until you experience it, you really just don't know. But it wasn't unbearable. Because it's your body just opening up. It's your baby is doing this. Your body's opening up. It's not something happening to you. It's something that you're involuntarily doing. So it's really cool when you think about it. But I would say they were intense. They were powerful. But they weren't outside of me. It wasn't something was happening to me that I needed to escape from. But they were intense. I mean, your body is doing something it's never done before. It's making a way for somebody to come out of you, and that's never happened before. And so it's intense. And we ended up leaving my house a little bit after 9. The car ride wasn't bad. We played some worship music, and I just rested and breathed. And if I had to have a contraction, I would. But I wouldn't let it like discourage me or anything. I just knew we're gonna have this baby soon. Let's just do this. Like, there's nothing you can do. Like, you have to surrender to the process, especially when you're doing it the way we chose to do it. Basically, there's no turning back. But I will say I was never afraid or worried. You're so like zoned into your contractions that it's hard to think about anything else. Like, I honestly wasn't even thinking about the fact that I was going to be pushing a baby out eventually. Like, you have to focus in on what's happening in that moment instead of thinking about what's going to happen later. And it's just kind of happens naturally. So we get to the birth house, and my doula's there, our midwife is there. They meet us. My doula immediately starts loving on me She gives me a hug. She asks me how I'm doing, and I just started crying. Not sad tears, but just like a relief. Like, we're here. We're about to do this. We're going to have this baby. Thank you for being here to support me. Like, those kind of tears. So my husband is unpacking the car, and I'm just in the birth room, just on the birth ball, just kind of, you know, taking the contractions one at a time. They're feeding me string cheese. We brought all kind of food to the place. We brought dinner for them to eat on while we were there. We get there at around 10 o'clock. They check me, and I'm 5 centimeters dilated and 100% effaced. And so I kind of felt like, okay, we might be here for a little bit, a while longer, just because I'm a first-time mom. It's probably going to take me longer to do this than, you know, somebody who's had 2 or 3 babies and they've done this before. And they fully expected to be there all day and night too. So, I mean, we were just along for the ride. But we didn't realize how quickly my body was opening up. So they checked me a little bit after 10, I would say, and my contractions really, really started getting intense to the point where I didn't really want to be touched. We had a birth playlist of worship music that I had created from day one of finding out I was pregnant, and I listened to 2 songs on it, and then I was like, please turn that off. Like, I had to focus fully. I didn't want people talking to me really, and for people to be in and out of the room and just being busy, it made me like, not uncomfortable, but maybe like a little bit upset, or like I couldn't focus. So at the birth house, I moved into a room that had a queen-size bed, beautiful bed, and beautiful bedroom. There's a bathroom connected to it in case I needed to go to the bathroom or have the warm water hit me from the shower or something like that. So I lay down on the bed, and my doula just surrounds me with pillows. She puts pillows in between my legs, all around me, and just tells me, just rest as much as you can. And my husband came in there, he laid with me, they turned the lights out and closed the door, they left us alone, and I would rest. Of course I wasn't sleeping, but I was able to just rest, drink water, eat some watermelon, eat some light snacks, and get some protein. And then when I had contractions, it was like dead focus, get through this contraction. It wasn't even breathing through them anymore. It was like, I don't know, like some kind of moan, like a low moan. I had watched videos on how to breathe through your contractions, and during active labor, one of the key things is to keep your jaw loose, because that helps your cervix be open and loose, and to make low pitched noises. And so I would just make low noises and just imagine the noise like going through my body and coming out. Like, I would just keep imagining that, and it helped me. And so from the outside, it probably sounded like, oh my gosh, she's in so much pain, like she's being tortured. But I had control of what I was doing, and that noise that I was making helped me. It relieved, it gave the pain somewhere to go, and it helped me be able to breathe and focus. So I'm definitely thankful for those videos that I watched on that. And so I was doing that for quite a bit, and then they came in and to check on me to see if I needed to switch positions, and I really wanted to. And as I was getting up, like sitting up in the bed, my water broke, and it freaked me out because I'd forgotten that your water breaking is like a part of the process. Like, before I went into labor, I was like, yeah, my water will break at some point, blah, blah, blah. I just forgot about it. But it's like, whoa, this actually happened. My water just broke. It was a gush. And I was wearing my pajama pants, and I just felt so gross, but I was like, it hit me like, my water just broke. So this thing is about to move a lot faster, and things are about to get a lot more intense than what I've been experiencing. And so at that point, I got scared for a second. But then I just had to re-surrender to the process. Like, okay, this is what we're doing. We're having a baby. I mean, what else can you do? So my midwife checked the fluid, make sure that it was a good color, that everything was fine. After that, and then she checked me, and I was already at a 10 centimeters, and I was just shocked. Like, we've been here for like a little over 2 hours, and I'm already at a 10. What? Like, I did most of the labor at home, for real, and I didn't even realize. Like, I thought what happened at home was easy, and that's so awesome because that was active labor at home. So I get checked, and a midwife tells my husband, look, like, you see the baby's head. And I'm thinking at this point they're just hyping me up, like trying to encourage me, like, yeah, we see your baby's head, it's about time, keep on keeping on. But no, like, it was just minutes later that I was pushing our baby out, and there was such a difference in the contractions from just contracting to getting to the pushing stage. I felt like the pushing stage was a relief. Like, the pain was, it's almost like it was gone. I could feel my body contracting, like my body pushing, but it was not like I was not groaning through contractions. It was like, okay, I need to push with the contractions. And so I was doing that, and then there was still a break in between my contractions. So when there was a break, I would just rest. And there was one point that I looked down and my baby's head was out, and it was like, I didn't feel that at all. Like, I felt the ring of fire, but that was not it wasn't what I expected. Like, when I heard about the ring of fire before, I expected it to be this excruciating thing, but it wasn't. It was, I'm not going to say that it felt good, but it's just a burning. It's your body stretching for that baby to come out. So that didn't last long before her head was out, and I'm thinking, how did I just do that? Like, there's a head out of me. Like, it was so crazy. And then the most beautiful part was our midwife got me to bring my hands down and my husband to bring his hands down to her head, and we were able to catch our baby and pull our baby up to us. And that wasn't something that we planned or even talked about or thought about. It was just in the moment. It worked out. She saw, okay, y'all are about to catch your baby. And after I pushed her out and we caught her, all I could say was, I just had a baby. Like, I was like, I can't believe that I just had a baby. We just had a baby. I just pushed a baby out of me. I was just so amazed. And I told our baby, I was like, I love you so much. You hurt so bad, but I love you so much. And there's just was such a joy after. There was a joy through the whole process, but I mean, indescribable joy once my baby was on my chest, and it was like, this is what I dreamed for. Like, I couldn't imagine anything better. And so we got skin to skin time immediately. We did the delayed cord clamping, and my husband got skin to skin time. They brought me a big warm bowl of white chicken chili for me to eat immediately after I had her. And so I'm breastfeeding her. She's learning how to latch. I'm eating this chili, drinking some water. It's just like it was a celebration like never before. And it wasn't like people were taking my baby away from me. Like, I was holding my baby, and she was getting skin to skin time. She was learning how to nurse. She was having that golden hour that we needed. And so that is how it went, and it was just so incredible. My mom was able to be there, and my stepdad, and I'm so thankful for them. They brought us some snacks and food too for my labor. And so after I think that hour or two of her learning how to nurse, and me and my husband just loving on her, and just being in there, just celebrating what had just happened. My mom came in and she loved on the baby. Nobody took the baby away from me, and that was something that was really important to me, was that that I didn't want a lot of visitors. I didn't want people passing my baby around and stuff like that. So it was really beautiful. I did have to get stitches. I think that she said she would consider it like a 2nd degree, but I couldn't even feel it. She had to take a picture and prove to me that I needed stitches. And she even told me, like, I don't have to do this, but you probably want me to give you stitches. And so I did get stitches. And I didn't feel the stitches because I guess the one medical intervention that I did have was lidocaine. Is that a medical intervention? Oh, that's my cue. Hang on. Okay, I'm back. This is my baby. She's eating. Okay, so with my stitches, I had lidocaine. I'm so thankful for that. I didn't feel a thing. It wasn't a big deal. And even recovery-wise, I haven't felt my stitches. It's been easy to go to the bathroom, things like that. So I was pretty afraid before I got the stitches, but the lidocaine took the fear away. So yes. So now I'm going to get into some of the questions. One question was, what influenced my decision to have a home birth? Home birth was not something that I was educated on or that I grew up knowing or wanting. I had a friend who I knew that she was delivered by a midwife, and she told me that in high school, but I didn't really know what a midwife was. I didn't ask a lot of questions. And I was just like, oh, that's cool. You were born at home. That's really awesome. And then I actually didn't start considering our options until we were planning on becoming pregnant. It's funny how you consider things that you wouldn't have thought of before when you're getting ready for something to happen in your life. So I was YouTubing like different options, and I kept seeing these moms having babies in the water births, and I was like, that's really cool. And we actually had planned on a water birth, but things happened so quickly that we couldn't. We just had her in the bed, so that was fine. So I kept seeing these water births and just the environment that these women were in, and that they weren't screaming, they weren't miserable, they were happy, like they were having fun at their birth. And it was wild to me because in America, it seems like, and through the movies, and birth is portrayed as this horrific event that the mom has to be rescued from, and everything goes wrong, and all the solutions are needed, and it's just risky business, this giving birth. And so I was amazed to see video evidence of women successfully having their babies at home. They're not afraid, they're laughing, they're joyful, they're allowed to eat, they're walking around. Like, what is this? And so I was really intrigued, and I started showing my husband some of these videos, and it was like, we need to look into this. Like, this is more up our alley. And I am personally, I think I'm a person who, I thrive better in an environment that is peaceful, that there's not a lot of fear, there's not anxiety going on, no pressure to make decisions that are hard, so, and just knew that if I was going to have a baby at a hospital, it probably was going to end up being like what I was seeing in the movies, this trauma, feeling like a victim. So many people feel like their birth experience was terrible, or that the joy was taken away from them, or something like that. And so I was just kind of weighing those options, and I knew that no matter what, I didn't want to make a decision out of fear. I didn't want to go to the hospital because I'm afraid that something bad is going to happen, and I didn't want to choose a home birth because I'm afraid of medicine and something bad happening at a hospital. So really, it's just eliminating fear and deciding what's going to work best for me. What environment am I going to thrive best in? What are the risks? And are you low risk pregnancy? If you're low risk, you're fine to do a home birth. But if there are things that your doctor is concerned about or your midwife is concerned about, you may want to have your baby at a hospital just for that safety factor. So yeah, also for us, our family, we wanted to view birth as a celebration and as a birthday. Like, this is the day that our baby gets to come into the world, and hospitals are businesses, and they are businesses who pay problem solvers to fix problems. And in America, birth is a problem that we fix. You come to the hospital and we're going to fix you. You have problems that need solutions. So we're going to give you an epidural for the problem that is pain, or we're going to give you Pitocin because you're not really laboring quickly enough, so it's inconvenient. So let's give you Pitocin to speed the process up. Or that's not working, so let's just go ahead and do a C-section. So I've noticed that with interventions, it's kind of like a domino effect. Interventions require more interventions. And I really didn't want that for myself, and I didn't want the pressure of feeling like I had to make those decisions when they weren't necessary. A mama who is in labor she doesn't have problems. She is a mama who's created to have a baby. She has everything she needs. She just needs the time to accomplish it. And so in a home birth environment, there's no pressure to have your baby in a certain amount of time. Unless, of course, you're after 42 weeks, then you're probably not going to be having a home birth. Also, a doctor is seeing so many people in so many hours during the day, and whereas a midwife is seeing fewer people. Not that she's less exhausted or that her job is less intense as a doctor, but she's able to spend more time with you and be more hands-on and be more patient and support you better than maybe someone who has been exhausted. They're going to err on the side of convenience for them, more likely. So that is the answer to that question. Another question is the cost of home birth versus hospital birth, with insurance, without insurance. Depending on the state that you live in, your insurance can cover a home birth as well as a hospital birth, which is really cool. Without insurance, I know that a home birth can cost you out of pocket anywhere between $1,500 to $5,000. I mean, it depends on your midwife and where you're having the baby at and all kind of factors, but I don't see it going above that, and really $5,000 is a lot. So that might be like at a birth center or something like that. A hospital birth without insurance is going to get in the tens and thousands of dollars. I've seen a NICU bill that was $1 million. Thankfully that family had insurance, but I mean, it's serious business. And the more interventions you get, the more those thousands are gonna pile up, from the epidural, the Pitocin, C-section, all kind of things. But if you have insurance, then out of pocket, you'll probably be paying the same amount as you would for a home birth out of pocket in a hospital. So if you have insurance at a hospital, you might be paying, I don't know, maybe like $5,000 or something like that. But I think ultimately home birth is more cost effective. But if you don't have insurance and you're paying out of pocket for a home birth and then you have to be transported to a hospital or your plans change, then it's more of a cost for you because you've already paid for the home birth, and then you're going to have to pay that big hospital bill without insurance. So that's, from what I understand, how it works with the cost. Another question is, would I ever do this again for my future babies? Absolutely. I loved everything about having a midwife throughout my pregnancy and for the delivery. I learned so much. Like I said, she was more available. She has more time. She is more hands-on. She taught me so much at every visit. We did do an online birthing class called Mama Natural, the online birthing course. But seriously, every visit that I had with my midwife felt like I was getting questions answered, and I was getting more confident in myself and learning what my body is going through and learning about my baby. And the more you know, the less fear you have. And so I would definitely go this route again. I enjoyed my birth experience. I didn't feel like a victim. I didn't feel like something was happening to me. I felt powerful, like I did this. I was created to do this, and I did it successfully with the help of some supportive women and with my husband. And there was no medical issue to be solved. I am simply a woman who was created to have a baby, who had a baby, and that's how I look at it. So I would absolutely do it again. Another question I had was, would I ever consider an epidural? I don't think so, just because I know that I've done it once without it, and like I said before, the pain wasn't unbearable. Now, if I had, in my future pregnancies, if I have to be induced with Pitocin, then I might consider an epidural, because Pitocin causes you to go into hard labor, and that is going to intensify your pain. Whereas if you didn't have Pitocin, you're not going to experience what Pitocin is making you go through. So if I had to be induced, I would consider an epidural. But if I didn't have to be induced, then I would not want to do an epidural. Also because an epidural is going to slow down your labor and make everything take longer. So if I don't have to be induced and I can just truck through it on my own, then I'd rather have a fast labor with pain than have a slow labor without pain. Yes, that's my thoughts on that. Another question, what was it like going past my due date? That was very emotional, like I said, but after 40 weeks, I just kind of sucked it up and realized she's going to get here when she gets here. If I have to be induced, then I have to be induced. And I just came to that conclusion, and thankfully she did come on her own, and it was just a blessing. So that is our story. I feel like I should do more videos about this topic, like more on why we chose to go this route, or how I prepared to have a successful home birth. So if that's something you're interested in seeing in the future, then I'll definitely make a video for that. I'm not going to put any promises or time limits on myself, because I do have this little girl and we are figuring each other out. So I hope this video encourages you and takes some fear away from home birth or just having an all-natural birth. And I hope that you have a great day, and I'll see you soon. Goodbye.